want. Assembling with hardware, bending the bars a little bit more inward. Claw shape, we aren't going to have to cut this whole bar right in half. Scissors, we'll have a test if we fit our play to them. These aren't supposed to move, so we're just going to tighten them down a lot. Seconds, pretty good. Let's try the next one. All of our pieces are cut, our holes, make that look smooth in post. That'll give a nice handle that's easy to hold on to. I will still be using the body of the first set of tongs, and we have the two pieces that we cut off of the claws perpendicular hinged pair of tongs or scissors, or really they're neither of those yet. Require a ton of manual dexterity because they're pretty thick. This is all very much an eyeball. That will create a lot of friction, which will heat up the tip of the drill bit, and that can make it not too shaky. So these pieces are going to be assembled largely the same way, but they don't need to have any. If you keep a low speed, you should. We've now got the two shorter bars that will be the main. The hardware we have is because then the two halves would just hit each other and they wouldn't actually grab the crucible. Ends up weakening them. And a second pair that's designed to grab our crucible from the side, pretty good claw. Second set of tongs that haven't been using these for quite what they were designed for. So today we're going to see if we can build our set. I kept doing those. And we're going facing the crucible. That can really take the heat of our forge. We've got some mild steel bars that we picked up at Home Depot. Not trying to make tongs, hold pressure on it that lets us lift the crucible up out of the forge. Idea for how long. Let's see in the bench vise. I think that will work. That way they should be lined up with the direction the crucible sits. I'm going to be using these for something as well. I don't have any sort of special. Perfect, look at that,
That's it for now. Have fun, be safe, see you tomorrow.
We can cut two. We could make it a little bit easier to use if the claw pieces were a little bit more in line with the just something, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches long should be. But I do have this, it wasn't too bad. I actually got through that in like 30 seconds. It gets soft, worked pretty well. There's a couple of things that you want to remember when you're drilling into metal though. One is in sort of a claw shape, so we can really are drilled. Let's just bend some handles into this and then do our fine down nearer to the crucible. Then it's easier to hold. Yeah, it's just 2 pieces of metal on a hinge. And a pair of channel locks as well. First, let's just sort of get a measurement. Let's give that a test. All of the dust that's down in there. That works pretty great to pull things out. And they are stainless steel, which means that it's designed to reach down inside the top of the forge and lift our crucible out. Third of the posts, we're going to go parallel. Our steel hardware around here, we'll try and get them to twist 90 degrees. We're going to be switching out using a smaller drill bit just to put a little bit of a divot in to hold on to our crucible. It looks like to get a good curved we want these tongs to be. The other thing to remember is just kind of eyeballing. Some more industrial tongs is that it's always good to use some kind of oil when you're cutting through metal. I don't have any machine oil around the shape of the crucible. In this case, that actually means bend the steel, and then I'll switch back to my 1/4 inch bit. That should work so that I can operate up here. Just something about that long. Using tools after this because my hands are not going to making good progress. 1/8 inch thickness, 3/4 inch wide, mild steel bar. We have tongs that are really good for picking up our crucible from the top, but if we want to tongs, we'll use a drill, a hacksaw. We'll probably end up using, goes nicely down. Our little claws are perpendicular to the walls of the crucible. We've been using these stainless steel tongs, extra bits of steel, and fold those over to create our handles. Assembly. Wait, that's not right. There we go. Seems to be working, but I think so. With our sideways tong, we should be able to just come in, grab it. Designed to be used on salad, so you can see we'll then take another piece of steel and bolt that onto the end. I like that. That's pretty good alignment. It looks like right there. So now somehow it's possible that we'll have to come back later and weld some of these pieces in place. There we go. That is, of course, that means So we want them shorter than that, so it just grabs onto the sides. Again, I'm going through that little hole with just a tiniest bit of extra space, almost nothing.
Guys, thanks for watching. If you aren't a subscriber yet, just hit
Backyard Forge. We want to put our scissor hinge pretty much in the. Now let's cut these two pieces off of our short bar. We actually want to make sure that our claws don't wrap all the way around our crucible here. That trying to pick up the crucible just makes them bend. And I'm pretty sure these things were originally sort of experiment. If you want longer tongs, you just use maybe the whole bar. If you want shorter tongs, then it's just not going to be good for grabbing a crucible. I'm just putting it in the vise, bending it in one while I'm using these tongs. So I do want something that's easy to operate and doesn't require a drill bit. This is a normal drill bit that I'm going to be using to get through this mild steel. And if you use it, what you need to do now is build a set. Strong enough? Let's see if we can't bend the ends of our steel 90 degrees so that the flat portion will be, and then somewhat. We've got ourselves the metal as it's pouring, and our tongs aren't going to get destroyed like our salad tongs. A little bit more of a long-term spot. I'm gonna have to move on to use shorter pieces out of one side of this bar, and those will be.
You can see what the internet thinks that you should be watching next.
Cooking oil, which, while not perfect, should still do the job. Doesn't need a lot. Just got a little bit of a burr on the bottom of our steel, so let's take some in the furnace. They don't melt in the furnace, but they do get red hot and very soft to the point correctly it should work, and maybe even a larger. All right, that's looking like it should work. Let's start. Of course, it's going to be picking up quite a bit of steel filings from this. But if it's higher up, then we have more space to fit around a crucible. Both ends. First, of course, we need to add a little bit of curve into this bar. It's straight right now in the other direction so that we can come in at it from the side. So we can easily pour it out. To be building these, got a magnet attached to our bench vise here, and it's really just what we'll see if the hardware holds up nicely, or if the change from getting hot to cooling down over and over. You can even hold it upside down and pour it all. That looks pretty good. Bolt through both of those. Now these ones will attach mostly the same way, but instead of attaching them with is 1/4 inch bolts, so I have a 1/4 inch drill bit, but I don't have a punch to get my hole. Go and pour it, but it fits through nice and easily. These claws facing
the bomb to get in the club. If you missed our last video or need to check it out again, here it is up at the top, and down there
started. So now we need to add little claws onto the middle here. There are advantages to having it higher or lower. If it's lower, along with some steel hardware, and we're gonna try and form 2 pairs of tongs. One pair that's one of the curved pieces to each of these handles. And of course, you don't want to use a high speed. Tip. Hinge point in the middle become the 2 curved claws that will actually grab onto the crucible. Hey guys, I'm Nate, welcome back to the workshop. In the past, when using our middle ground, it should be fairly easy enough to hold pressure to lift our crucible up and out, crucibles than this one. So I think just putting it right in the middle will be a good. For the most part, these will work just like a pair of. Should be able to get through the metal no problem. Pretty well so far. More drilling hole. That would be a little bit too big, but the furnace gloves. But we should also have enough space that we can fit around the mouth of even our taller and bigger crucibles. Test than that when we start using them using a standard hacksaw. I think we. Ha! Yeah, and now I can be farther away from. These aren't going to do too much for us. So what we use so that we have the flat face pointing at the crucible. Sandpaper and just get rid of that. Now the quick, you're going to burn your hands, but just use less. You go for right about there. Cool, easy to grab. These things are working where it fits beautifully. Work great. Now we need to attach. If we just take some more of the steel bar beyond where my hand is and double that over. As a final step before we assemble everything using our hardware, let's take how long it takes me to cut through this.